Salve galera, sou Carlos Pupo, editor do site Headbangers News, e venho apresentar aqui para vocês a entrevista que o Marcos Frank, nosso redator e colaborador, fez com o Kyle Schaefer do Fallujah. Ele veio conversar sobre o mais recente lançamento da banda chamado Xenotaph, lançado pela Nuclear Blast Records. Confiram aí.
First of all, I'm already a fanboy for Fallujah, so yeah. Since Aperion, when you guys appeared for the first time, it was an amazing experience listening to your music.
Awesome, thank you.
And
that's when I joined the band, so I'm biased towards that album as well. Forget all the stuff before that. That's yeah.
yeah, it's normal like this, right?
Yeah.
And Fallujah is described as a progressive technical death metal act. Do you think your music should be related to bands that follow this kind of genre?
Yeah, I think so. Like to me, that's pretty much spot on. Like there's as a metal band, you get a lot of different labels put on you, right, as far as subgenres and all that. But to me, like progressive technical death metal, that's pretty much what I would say too. Or people say atmospheric death metal sometimes. But I think especially with the direction we're going nowadays, I think the progressive aspect is important. I think naturally, we're inspired by a lot of our favorite bands and can't help but let that influence sort of seep into our music. So like some bands that come to mind for me, like bands that we all love and agree on, are like Cynic, Meshuggah, Necrophagist, The Faceless, that's a big one, Between the Buried and Me. Bands like that, sort of technical, just very unique bands with their own identity, and I'm happy for us to be compared to bands that we love like that. It's I'm down with it.
Yeah, you had a member of The Faceless in the band.
yeah, true. Yeah, that's true. I forget that. You're totally right.
It's interesting. On Empyrean you had a member of The Faceless in the band, so yeah, you're biased for the last record.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's why we because you're referring to Evan Brewer, who's he played on our last album as well as the new one, Xenotaph.
And, really?
Yeah. He's not as many people know it on the new stuff because he wasn't able to join us for like the music video shoots or the photo shoots, so he's not as visible as in the last one compared to like having him in the music videos and everything. But he's on the whole album. He wrote his own parts. He played bass on the whole thing. So
it's secret.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. we didn't mean for it to be secret, but yeah, maybe it's just less. It's a fun fact you have to dig a little bit deeper for this time. But yeah, that's that's why we contacted him to see if he was interested in playing on the music, is because we loved his work in The Faceless. Like specifically the album Autotheism that he played on. That's, one of our favorite records. Like I sat down with Scott and listened to that record multiple times before we were getting started writing this one. So like definitely a big influence. And yeah, it's cool having a touch of that literally in the music as well.
It's interesting that you have The Faceless as a big influence for the band, but you guys resemble a lot also to maybe unconscious influences like Obscura that are
totally.
They are considered like that was Death did before Chuck Schuldiner passed away. They are like the last thing that Death did. So
yeah.
Do you think that Fallujah is somehow stepping the same footsteps?
Hopefully, yeah. I would like to think maybe that's the case. And on that note, like you mentioned Obscura, like Scott, our guitarist, like years ago, he took guitar lessons from Christian Munzer, who was, in Obscura. He played in Necrophagist as well. For
true.
years. Like I think when Scott was sort of on the come up and working on his first records, things like that. So if that made its way into the music as well, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned. This was like something I wanted to mention. The next question was with Necrophagists. That is an influence for you guys. And Cynic, everything is turning like to death almost.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Yeah, like you said, Cynic too. Like Cynic has had, Paul and Sean on drums back in the day. They played in Death for a couple of records, and we're friends with the Cynic guys, and Cynic is one of my favorite bands of all time. And yeah, you're right, it all connects. Back
Yeah, it's interesting.
yeah, and then
And
Necrophages too. That one is like I like that band. They were never like my biggest influence or anything like that. But for our guitarists, Scott and Sam, that might be the single most like their most shared influence, if that makes sense. Like Scott has always cited them as a huge inspiration in his writing, and then Sam as well, who's our new guitarist that joined for this album. He, years ago, one of the reasons we hired him for the band is because he had a YouTube video where he covered the entire Epitaph album all the way
oh
from start to
no,
finish. And so like we're like, this guy knows what's up.
he's a
This guy
nerd.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely like again, that's as even though I like that band too, but it's like for the guitarist, for Scott and Sam, that was like a big bonding one and a big important band for both of them. So 100%. Yeah, in many ways, these are
It's
like the
awesome.
core sort of bands that work their way into our inspiration.
This is awesome. That's so good that you guys connected so well. And
Yeah.
even though Fallujah changed so much, even though you sang on Empyrean now with Xenotaph, I think Xenotaph sounds even more musical since you didn't just do gutturals.
Right.
Was it intended to be like this before you gave your insight about this new album, or is it like something that came naturally?
I think it was both. Like I know that I wanted to push the music in that direction, but I think part of the reason I wanted to do that in the first place was because I felt like it could be natural. Like for example, like when I first met Scott, like when I was in the process of auditioning for the band and sort of, getting to know each other, we learned very early on that like one of our sort of shared favorite bands was Cynic. That was one that like we talked about. And like the album Traced in Air, like it's almost completely melodic vocals. Yet despite that, like Scott told me that was, one of his most influential records, and it was for me as well, like in different ways. Like I think in my music I've made outside of Fallujah, like before I joined, Cynic was a big influence, like in terms of the melodies and chords and everything. And then for Scott, it was probably more in terms of like the guitar technique and certain songwriting aspects, the atmospheres and everything. But it's like to me, I was like, here's this band that we both genuinely have such a connection with, but maybe isn't the most like obvious in the music. Like it's there at the core, but like you said, if Fallujah is death metal and all gutturals, like it may not be as obvious that an album like Trace in Air is one of our biggest influences. And so I think, I immediately saw that as like what if we lean into that even more? Like, it just made sense naturally, I think. Like it was never something that I had to suggest or like sell the other band members on. Like, what if we make music that's more melodic or whatever? It just made sense for everybody. And then I think for me, like I've been doing clean singing for longer than I've been doing growls, even though I've been doing growls for a long time now. Like, um, now that I've been in the band for a few years and I'm very comfortable with, sort of how everything's going, and like I've, become much more familiar with the band and the fans and everything around it. Um, I felt like there was room for me to like express myself in my most natural way, which to me, it's like if I'm not doing any clean singing, then I kind of feel like I'm not using my main strength. Um, and just I think all of that, yeah, it's like we just had enough examples of music that has kind of gone in that direction, or even a band like the Faceless, going from planetary duality to autotheism. Like, they introduced way more clean vocals from Michael Keane, and it's like to me, there's examples of good ways and bad ways to make that transition. Like, of course, it can be risky, right? Like moving your music in a way to where you go from death metal vocals to adding singing. Like, it has the potential to come off a certain way, like you're trying too hard to pander to an audience outside of death metal, or maybe you're trying to be too radio friendly or something like that. Um, but as opposed to that, there's examples of bands like the Faceless or like the Contortionists that evolved in a way to where it felt very natural and really fit. Or Cynic, did that too, really. And so I was like, we can do it like those bands, and it'll hopefully work out.
Yeah, I think it was a good glue for Fallujah to have like something at least not that aggressive, and it does resonate. Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah,
You
and you know
you guys did that.
yeah, thanks. And the last another thought I just had on that. The last thing I'll add to that note is that I think Fallujah's music naturally, like just the instrumentals since the very beginning, like there's always been a very strong melodic aspect to it. Like there's real chord progressions and like there's room for melody. And like even before the band was doing clean vocals, like there's always been Scott's lead guitar playing. So like he's
Super
adding
melodic.
melody on top of the riffs already, and it's like it's the vocals do the same job as that, like versus a band that's like more purely brutal. Like for example, like I couldn't imagine Meshuggah with clean vocals because they're
Exactly.
yeah like the music is just written in a way to where it's very chromatic and very it's just heavy vocals make more sense because of how it's structured. It's not really built around chord progressions as much, but Fallujah has always been a melodic sort of chord structured band, and so I think
This is so
melody
true.
fit naturally into it. And before it was the lead guitars, now it's the vocals as well.
And interesting to see the videos for Fallujah with the Labyrinth of Stone was
Yeah,
super
yeah.
funny. You guys with in like a super expensive car. What was like the idea of having such a video for you guys?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I'd love to explain that. So, okay, for the previous album, Empyrean, we're on Nuclear Blast Records, of course, and we have a certain budget for music videos. And on the previous album, we did one regular music video and then a couple of like sort of visualizers or whatever for the singles after that. And the label kind of suggested the same plan to us for this record. But just with how things are nowadays, with like social media and content and everything, like we really wanted to try to do multiple music videos for this one. And we decided, okay, like so the for the first single, we'll do the normal thing. We'll have like a cool, sort of like, cool visuals, cool effects and everything, like a normal, cool kind of sci-fi looking metal video. And but we're like, we want to make more videos after that too, and we don't have, endless budget. But our guitarist Sam, who joined, the band for this album, he does a lot of video work on the side as well. Like he does video editing for our social media stuff for other bands. He's just good with videography. Like he's done a lot of he does our playthroughs and makes them look all nice. He's done his own music videos for his solo project before. He did a fun, goofy music video for my side project one time. And he's like, guys, let me make a music video. Like I'll do it, low budget. We can keep it all in house and like, um, and so that's Sam's video. And Sam's ideal was like, he's like, okay, we have a normal music video. Like, I want the next one to be something very different and surprising. And he decided he wanted to make a rap video essentially. And I've seen some people like, not everybody likes it, which is okay. It's not really the typical metal video, but a lot of people love it too for the same reasons that we love it. But I've seen some people think that it's like I've seen comments saying that they think it's like a parody of rap music. They think like, oh, the joke is that rap is stupid and they're making fun of it. In reality, we're not making fun of rap. Like the joke is that we think rap is cool, and like Sam and Scott both, they had a lot of rap videos that they just thought were cool, like just outside the box, cool effects, cool energy to it. And the joke is that we don't belong in a rap video. Like we wanted to make like a legitimately cool video, but it's us in it. And so that's the funny part is that like we're not rappers, like we don't belong in that world, like with the cars
So
and everything.
weird.
Yeah, yeah. But so that's kind of the fun part. But it's like it's not meant to be making fun of rap music or anything. And another funny thing to us was that you know, again, like Sam is somebody that like the last thing he would ever want to do is make a cliche video that everybody expects. And he in his music too, like he writes very unique and kind of strange, very interesting, cool music. And in line with that for the video, he's like, I want to do the opposite of what people expect. I want to do something kind of weird and different. And the another funny thing to me is that that song is like without getting too deep into it, like the lyrics are very introspective. Like it sort of has a theme of like ego death and letting go of your past life and connections and all that. And to me, it's hilarious that it has this music video that's like all ego. It's like about fast cars and drinking and partying and all this stuff. And that contrast I thought was kind of funny how directly opposite it is. But
Yeah,
at
I
the
like
same
the
time, like I
I
don't want
like the
people.
idea of having you guys in multi-universe, like it's you
Yeah,
guys in another universe. It's
totally.
interesting. Yeah,
It's the opposite of the story. It's the opposite of the album artwork.
yeah,
Um,
it's interesting.
Honestly, we just wanted to, at the end of the day, like I don't want people to overthink it too much. There's no really deep meaning to it. We just thought it would be fun to make a rap video, and we had so much fun making it too. We had a bunch of our friends show up in cameos and stuff. Um, Sam thought it was a funny challenge to like, again, we basically made this budget on, or made this video on a budget of like close to $0. And Sam was like, let's make a video that looks like we have all this money, but really it's like we don't even have a budget for this video. And so, like I think he spent like $10 on Amazon.com buying like $40,000 of fake cash that we're throwing around in video. So like that was a funny challenge too. It's like let's make a DIY music video on zero budget, but make it look all rich and expensive. But I think it looks really good because again, like Sam is despite all the humor in it, like Sam is a very talented videographer and like to me it's like a high quality video. It's just yeah, it's it's complicated. I don't know. It's
It,
you either love it or you don't, and that's okay.
it's super cool. But
Yeah.
the thing about Xenotaph is the same thing I thought when I heard Empyrean is that you have such long songs like
Mhm.
Xenotaph the title, the song that is the main title for
Yeah, yeah.
the album
The title
is
track,
like
yeah.
the title track is more than 7 minutes long. Do you think that with this audience that is not very that is like that wants to a real quick song, do you think that Fallujah is already preparing itself to make shorter songs? That Empyrean was already the main criticism to Empyrean was that some instrumental songs were like more than 14 minutes long. Do you think this might be a problem at some point?
Um, I don't think so, because one like we do think about stuff like that, and one consideration we had was that like so we wanted this to feel like it's since it's a concept album and it's sort of like this new chapter in the band. Like we wanted to write an album that felt very cohesive, like a very like album, as opposed to like a collection of singles or whatever. And when we looked at it that way, we're like, we want the album itself to not be too long. Like we want to cram a ton of ideas in, but we set out to make an album. Our goal was to make an album that was like 30 minutes long, but we ended up with a 40-minute album, because we had too many ideas. But still, like as far as progressive metal goes, like 40 minutes is not too long for a runtime. Like it's pretty easy to sit down and listen to the whole thing in one sitting. And from that perspective, to me, that's what makes the music not too long or exhausting is the fact that the album itself is like it's only 8 tracks. Like even though some of them are long, we wanted to not exhaust the listener. And again, going back to a lot of our favorite records, like Planetary Duality by the Faceless, it's like barely 30 minutes long. Um,
True.
uh, Epitaph by Necrophage, the same thing, 8 tracks, a little over 30 minutes. Cynic has had multiple albums that are 8 songs, 30 something minutes
But
long.
these are longer.
These
These
are
are
longer. It's
long.
a little bit longer. So yeah, we didn't quite reach the goal of keeping it to 30 minutes, but I think it's not too far off from that. Like it's shorter than Empyrean, it's shorter than, Dreamless, it's shorter than a lot of previous Fallujah records. And I think the way it unfolds too, like it starts with the shorter songs, and then the songs kind of get longer as you go through it. So that like if somebody's sticking around to the end anyways, they're already invested, they probably don't care if the last song is 8 minutes long. Um, but no, it just kind of happened naturally. I think we just really looked at this album as a full album, and we made sure that the album itself didn't get too long and exhausting, even if some of the songs are long.
And even on Empyrean, you had like someone being part of the was like a guest on one of the tracks. It was like mindless, omnipotent master with Chinny Crab from Atheos.
And she's actually she's in the Labyrinth of Stone video as well for a moment because we live next to her now. But yeah, sorry, go on. Yeah, so we had a few guests on that record.
So for this record, I don't see anywhere describing if there are guests like her. Is there other guests on Xenotaph?
Yeah, no guests on this album at all. Which is another thing that I suggested very early on because I like having guests in our music, like, and I do it all the time in my other projects too. And I would love to have more guests on future Fallujah albums. But this one, I think for a couple of reasons. Like one, now we have three kind of main songwriters in the band with me, Scott, and Sam all together. Like we had so many ideas coming in already that we're trying to keep the album short. It's like we're already trimming out ideas, so like we don't really need to bring in more people to contribute more ideas beyond that. But also like for me, just as the vocalist, like like I was saying, when I joined for Empyrean, I wanted to kind of like fit in and help complete a project that was already there and like make it sound not too far off from what people expected. Like a little bit in a restrained way sometimes, I was like, let's not go too far off from the Fallujah formula. But then for this album, I was like, I want to show the full range of what I can do. I want, my goal is to have a ton of variety in the vocals, have, like soft singing, loud singing, high and low screams, do some new types of screams I haven't done before, and just put everything together and have a ton of variety. And kind of in line with that, I was like, I want to show that I can do all of that on my own as well. Like, there's like backing sort of like choir style vocals and stuff like that. And I thought it would be cool to keep it pure within the band and be like, here is what we can do, like just us, and show the full range of what everybody's capable of. And I think not having guests makes that even more apparent. Like there's actually one or two parts where I did on one song, it has this kind of weird screaming part that's a little bit different from what I normally do. It's this kind of nasally, like type of scream that I don't normally do. And when I sent that in with my demo to the guys, like Sam was like, "This doesn't even sound like you. It sounds like a guest feature," And so to me, it's like, as soon as we open up having guests on it, it almost would seem like less of it is us. But I thought it'd be cool to show like, this is us. This is the full range of what we can do, for myself as well as the other guys. Yeah, long answer, but yeah, no guests on this one. But I'm sure we'll go back to it on the next one.
Yeah, it's good like this because my favorite songs from this album is like I think every song of this album is like a masterpiece already.
Oh, thank you.
Since I was a fan already from Eden's Lament and Soul Breaker, even though Jenny did not sang so much on Mindless Omnipotent Master, it is also very good from your side. Not just telling that she's good, but you did also a very good part of singing on this album. And I think you're doing a very good job at this new album.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I think kind of selfishly, like I really wanted to make a statement with this one, like I wanted to show, like, because on the last album, it's like I was the new guy, especially not coming from any like death metal bands that anybody knew, like not being established in the scene at all. And then kind of coming in as the newcomer to Fallujah, like, okay, who's this new guy, like on this album, I wanted to really make a statement and establish myself and be like, this is me. This is, everything I can do. This is like my album kind of. So I think selfishly, I was trying to accomplish that with this album as well. Like just really trying to stand out. And to me, like having the clean singing and doing variety, like to me, that's my strength. Like I don't think I'm the best screamer or the best singer or anything like that. But I was like, I like to do a lot of different things. So I just thought, let's try to do all of that and sort of, play to my own strengths.
Cool. So last question, and of course not the important one. It's like, But what are your last considerations, and of course a message to the people that do not yet know about Fallujah, and what should they expect listening to the new album or other albums for Fallujah?
Yeah, I think to existing fans, I would hope people approach it with an open mind. Like I know that at the surface level, some things are pretty different with this, but I really believe that at the core, this is like a very natural representation of what we all like, and I think it's going to come off that way. Like especially with a lot of the songs that people haven't heard yet. Like I think longtime fans of the band will see that it's the same band, but maybe evolved and showing some new aspects. And to people that don't know Fallujah yet, I would, to me, this is a great album to get into the band. And I can really say that from a point of like kind of truth for myself with like before I joined the band, it took me a while to get into Fallujah. I can say that like a lot of my friends really loved the band and I just came from a slightly different subgenre. I was more into like progressive music and wasn't, especially years ago, I was not as much of like a death metal guy. So it took me a while to like fully understand the music and like now I get it, but there was a time when I didn't fully get it. And to people that are like how I used to be, like this is the album for you. Like this album will make more sense. I really think that there's potential for people that haven't heard Fallujah or maybe didn't fully connect with the past albums. I really think that there's room for people to enjoy this album in new ways. Like the exact same things that may alienate some current fans are the same things that will probably be enjoyable by new fans. And there's so much variety on the album that I really think there's something for everyone. So our hope is that people will check it out and maybe gain some new listeners as well. So yeah, just obvious answer, but just hope everybody checks it out and gives it a shot and pre-orders it, all that good stuff.
Okay, thank you so much, Kyle, for your time,
Yeah,
and yeah, have a good day still.
yeah, yeah. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Well, bye. Thanks.